Heather Honey is not a detective, lawyer, or physician, nor does she play one on YouTube. Although, she does have a Bachelor's of Science degree in education. Opinions are her own because she is stingy.
This is a true crime channel. Some videos may have content that is disturbing to some and contain coarse language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning. Sorry I'm running late. I know the trial's already started and we are already on day 5. But like I told you guys in my last video that my schedule's crazy. So in the meantime, I'm going to try to do a mix of live streams and I'm going to do, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I'm going to do some videos to get you caught up in case you're not familiar with this trial. So let's go ahead and get started because trial started at about an hour and 21 minutes ago. So I'm going to try to get you caught up the best I can. And then, of course, I have an appointment, but we're just going to wing it. So let's go ahead and get started.
Identify.
Adam Lally for the Commonwealth. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Lally.
Good morning, Your Honor. Laura McLaughlin for the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Ms. McLaughlin.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alan Jackson for Ms. Reed.
Good morning, Mr. Jackson.
Okay,
morning,
there's
Your
a
Honor.
little
Elizabeth
popping
Little,
going
also
on.
Ms.
Let me see.
And Ms. Little.
And good morning, David Unetti for Karen Reed.
Good morning, Mr. Unetti. Good morning, Ms. Reed. All right, counsel wanted to see me?
I did, Your Honor.
Now, I can't handle listening to
Judge,
this the
as
whole
I
time.
indicated in an email that
Is it
I
popping?
sent to your clerk
If y'all can
last
let me
night,
know.
to Commonwealth.
I have
If
not
it
seen
is
them, though.
Okay,
popping.
well, I'll explain what was in it. Essentially, I was alerting the court that I would like to be heard prior to the start of testimony today because since Katie McLaughlin testified on Thursday and Friday,
This is a great thing
we
about live
received
streams
a
on
deluge
YouTube.
of photographs that put her with Caitlin Albert on many different occasions after they graduated high school. We received information from their high school yearbook.
Okay,
that they
is it popping?
were
So
more
it's
than
not
just
popping, so maybe it's
acquaintances
just
in
my
high
end.
school.
Okay.
They were
I'm
teammates
good with
on
that.
the track team. And even after I sent that email with the photographs that I attached to it, late last night we received.
Oh, and I will be stopping, making comments, or just saying whatever I want to say. And there are plenty of other great content creators that are covering this. So if I'm not your favorite or you don't like what I say, you're more than welcome to join their channels. But what I'm glad that he's bringing up first thing is over the weekend, a lot of pictures surfaced that showed where firefighter Katie McLaughlin, now she's the one that testified last week, stating first that she went to school with a girl named Caitlin Albert. Then they talked her outside of the jury, and there were pictures of her and Caitlin together. And she said they were just had mutual friends and, you know, she didn't really know her. Well, there were, I believe, at least 10 pictures that surfaced on the internet this weekend that shows where, I mean, it may even be just 5 girls, you know, posing. And Katie and Caitlin, they were in it. So we'll see. We'll see how this is going, but I just have a feeling, I know the judge is not going to let this come in, or she's going to give some kind of BS. We can't talk about it. We'll talk about it later. That kind of thing, because that's just how she is. So let's get back to it.
Another photo where Katie McLaughlin and Caitlin Albert are standing next to each other in a photo at a baby shower in June of 2021, about 8 months before John O'Keefe's death. It's very clear to us that Katie McLaughlin perjured herself, and I wanted to discuss the issue of the admissibility of not only the photographs that we're now providing that we just received over the weekend, but I also want to resurrect the admissibility of H, I, J, and K for identification. And I think a discussion of this, Your Honor, needs to start with what court orders are currently in place. The leading case with regard to the provision of reciprocal discovery when the defense is offering...
So you want to get back to Rule 14, the Rule 14 issue?
It is a Rule 14 issue.
Okay.
That's supplemented
So,
by...
hold on one second. So on top of that, we can discuss this later. I'd like to get the trial started.
That's fine, Your Honor. My belief, my strong belief, is that we need to determine this today. And the reason is that Caitlin Albert is coming up as a witness for the Commonwealth. She faces the same areas of cross-examination that Katie McLaughlin faced, and these photos are relevant to her cross-examination.
Okay. All right. So aside from the Rule 14 issue, I also think this is cumulative. I don't have the email. I do have the photos, but we can address this. When do you expect the Albert? I'm sorry. What's her name?
Caitlin Albert.
Caitlin Albert.
I'd say midweek, probably. It depends on how far we
All
get
right.
today.
So we'll address this either today or tomorrow.
Thank you.
Scheduling purposes.
I am so glad he didn't let her let her run over him and make him stop talking so that they could address this, because this is a very important thing. And this is something that she has been doing since the pretrial motions. Every time she's always interrupting. She says, we'll talk about it later. And I'm sure it's like on the record, but she doesn't want like the public to hear what she has to say. Well, why not? Why do you not want us to hear what you have to say? This is supposed to be a public trial. So I don't get what she's doing about that, but you know, to each their own. I guess she has her ways of doing her things. It's just weird.
So, Sergeant Lenk, is he testifying today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so we need a voir dire of him. I expect that might take a while. Is he testifying this morning, or can we use the lunch break for that? I need to know if it's around 11 o'clock, we'll have a voir dire. I'll just order coffee. I just need to know about that.
So I anticipate 2 witnesses prior to him. So I can't predict necessarily how long.
How long will you be with those 2 witnesses?
With those 2 witnesses, probably half hour, maybe a little more with each.
Okay, any idea how long the cross will be with those witnesses?
Probably, I will handle one of those witnesses, Mr. Yannetti will handle the other, and I would say at least a half an hour on cross-examination, maybe a little bit more.
Okay, would it be up to an hour on each? I'm just, again, scheduling. I'm not limiting you at all, I'm just curious.
Thank you. I don't think we'd exceed an hour. I would say safely, I know it's a big range, but between a half an hour and an hour, I think, for each of them.
Okay,
I think that's probably accurate.
all right. What can I say for a second?
Okay, so while she's piddling around, I'm going to go ahead and kind of fast forward because, like I said, it started a little bit ago, and we just want to go ahead and get this going. That is Karen's daddy right there. He has been at every pretrial motion, and then that is her mother. And then behind David Yannetti is some of John O'Keefe's family, which I think it's a slap in the face to them and Karen that in this courtroom, they're sitting right there on this to the side of her. These are people that loved each other. And now, I don't know. I don't know. All right. Take your time, order when you're ready. I mean,
Morning.
she's always in a rush.
Do you solemnly swear the evidence you give the court and jury in the case now and herein should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Yes, my name is Paul Gallagher, last name Gallagher.
And how are you employed, sir?
I'm a lieutenant with the Canton Police Department.
And how long in total have you been a member
Total of 32 years, 2 years as a permanent intermittent officer, 30 years full-time.
And you indicated that you are a lieutenant, is that correct?
That is correct.
And how long have you held the rank of lieutenant?
I was promoted to lieutenant August 1st of 2021.
What did you do with Kent Police prior to becoming lieutenant?
I was the detective sergeant from 2018 until I was promoted in 2021.
What is it, just starting with that, what is it that a detective sergeant does?
So when a patrolman takes an initial report, anything that needs follow-up, the detective sergeant makes sure it's assigned to a detective, usually the next detective working, and make sure that all the steps are taken to manage the cases and bring it to fruition, if possible.
And what is it, sort of, what are your general duties and responsibilities as a lieutenant with Kent?
Currently, I am in charge of internal affairs, background checks, patrol.
Okay, so we got some
and I
popping
oversee detectives.
on the video.
You say currently, what was it prior?
I was promoted in 2021. At that time, Lieutenant
Let me
Kelleher was
see
the,
if I'm going to stop
lieutenant
it
in
and I'm
charge
going to
of
try
detectives.
another.
We have since had a change of
I'm going to try another channel and see if we get better coverage. Okay, so bear with me. Okay.
What is a home warranty? It's a 1-year.
Okay, so that was popping. It may be my YouTube. I'm jumped out and I'm getting back in. Yay! Live streams are the best. That's why I don't do that many. Always technical issues. Always. All right, we're going to try it again. Let's see here. Okay, I
So
think I
when,
got it.
a patrolman takes an initial report, anything that needs follow-up, the detective sergeant makes sure it's assigned to a detective.
I think it's still doing the same. Okay, let me know. Let me
the
know
next
if you
detective
still hear
working,
popping.
and make sure that all the steps are taken to manage the cases to bring it to fruition, if possible.
And what is it, sort of, what are your general duties and responsibilities as a lieutenant with Kent?
Currently, I am in charge of internal affairs, background checks, patrol, and I oversee detectives.
You say currently, what was it prior?
Okay,
I was
so it's no
promoted in
popping again. Okay,
2021.
good. It's
At
popping
that
on mine.
time, Lieutenant Kelleher was the lieutenant in charge of detectives. We have since had a change of police, and our assignments have changed.
Now, were you working with Canton Police on the morning of January 29th, 2022?
I was.
And at some point, did you receive a phone call?
I did.
And about what time was that, and who called?
That was shortly after 6 a.m. It was Sergeant Sean Good.
And he's a member of your department as well?
He is. He's the 12 to 8 supervisor, which our shifts actually run 11:45 p.m. to 7:45 a.m., but we call it the 12 to 8 shift.
And what, if anything, was indicated to you in this call from Sergeant Good?
Sergeant Good told me he was responding to a scene where a party was found unconscious, possibly not breathing in the snow. He stated his name was John O'Keefe. He was a Boston police officer who resided on Meadows Ave. He further told me that he had gotten a call earlier about John O'Keefe not returning home that night. His friends had called the hospitals, then they called the police, then they went out and looked for him.
Sorry, I'm trying
and
to
they
adjust
found
it for
him,
you guys.
Unconscious and not breathing in the snow.
And based on that information, what, if anything, did you,
I told him I would respond.
where were you initially responding?
I was initially responding to Meadows Ave. I misinterpreted when he said he was a Boston police officer on Meadows Ave. I thought they discovered him on Meadows Ave.
But subsequently, did you learn a different location and respond to that location?
I did.
What was that location that you subsequently determined was where you were going?
When I called the dispatch to find out the exact address, I was told it was 32 Fairview Road.
And that was from the dispatch, is that correct?
That's correct. It was Officer Dever who answered the phone.
That would be.
Oh, that was me. Sorry. Oh, yay. Again, live stream. I was going to talk and clicked on something else. But what I was going to tell you about the 32 Fairview, there were so many mistakes in reports, and I mean, they couldn't even get the house number right. I just don't, I don't know what's going on. Okay. And I've got this gentleman back up. If we're talking,
they were doing CPR
if he's
on
talking,
him at that
repeating what he
time.
said, I'm sorry.
They told me that
Thanks, and
he
bear with
was
me.
bleeding from the mouth and nose, and that he may have had swelling above one of his eyes. They told me that they transported his girlfriend as well, and they told me the circumstances surrounding that incident. They told me that at some point after the phone call to the police station, friends, the woman's name was Kerry Roberts, picked up Miss McCabe and John O'Keefe's girlfriend, Karen Reed, and they drove around and they discovered Mr. O'Keefe on the left side of the property. I would call it the east side of the property, unconscious and not breathing in the snow.
Now, this area that Sergeant Good directed you to where he indicated Mr. O'Keefe was, you mentioned that it was snowing heavily at this time, is that correct?
It is correct, yes.
And about how much snow was on the ground in this area at the time that you initially went over there?
I would say at least 4 inches of snow.
Now, with reference to, as far as you mentioned, sort of processing, what, if anything, did you and the other officers do with regard to that scene as far as that was concerned?
So it was a unique scene because of the weather. Sergeant Lank had notified Norfolk County CPAC. He had advised them that
Sustained.
I'm sorry, can you rephrase the question, please?
So Detective Sergeant Lank had reached out to Norfolk County CPAC, correct?
That is correct.
And what is CPAC?
It's the State Police Investigative Unit of the District Attorney's Office, Crime Prevention and Control.
And what, if any, as far as that notification is concerned, what is sort of a protocol when you have an unintended death?
So when we have an unintended death, the Norfolk County CPAC unit responds and takes jurisdiction. In this particular case, Mr. O'Keefe was still alive, so they declined to respond at that time.
There may be a term that's pretty well understood, but when you say unattended death, what do you mean by that?
An unexplained death, a person who was alone at the time of their death.
And so at this point, no one from the state police had responded or was responding to the scene at that point.
That is correct.
And so what, if anything, did you and the other officers do with regard to the scene where Mr. O'Keefe had been located in the snow?
So we decided on how we were going to process the area. Our concern was there were some light pink spots in the snow, and we thought it may be blood. So we were discussing how to get to that, uncover the blood safely. We decided we were going to process the scene with a leaf blower. I figured we could direct the snow off the area in a controlled fashion. At that time, Sergeant Good volunteered to go get a snow blower.
Okay, let me stop right there. This is what I really wanted to hear too, because for you that don't know, okay, when they got to where John O'Keefe's body was, there was no crime scene tape to rope the area off. The blood that he's talking about, let me tell you how it was collected. It was collected with solo cups. Yes, you heard me right, solo cups. They borrowed from a neighbor of the Alberts, whose home was where John O'Keefe's body was found in their yard. But they borrowed solo cups to collect the blood, which I'm sure had snow mixed in with it, and also a leaf blower. So let's continue.
Told him in the meantime, I wanted to photograph the area. I wanted all the cruisers away from the house. There was one cruiser, I believe, occupied Officer Sarif directly in front of where Mr. O'Keefe was. I wanted him backed up. And there was crime scene tape set up, and it was blowing wildly in the wind. It was serving no purpose at that time. There were no civilians or witnesses about. And I knew we had 2 officers who could protect the scene while we processed it. So Sergeant Good, before he left to get the leaf blower, he directed the officers to move their cruisers. I told Sergeant Lank the most important thing he could do at this time would...
Objection.
The objection is sustained. Move on to your next question, Mr. Lally.
Now, you mentioned that there was some crime scene tape that was set up around, is that correct?
That is correct.
And how was that sort of...
Okay, that was a good example. Something else that Judge Canon's been doing has been, she does not allow, like, she allows the attorneys to object, but normally speaking objections are not allowed. So that's like where they say like objection, and then they say, I don't know, however they feel about what the witness is testifying. But a non-speaking objection would be like, objection, hearsay, and then judges will call them to the bench to discuss, and then they move along. But just like the witness, if you saw his face, the defense objected, and he looked confused, like, what was the objection? And guess what? None of us know. And then Judge Bev was like, sustained. Keep going, Mr. Lally. Ask another question. Okay, why is she bottle feeding him to do his job? Jeez Louise. This trial is going to stress me out. But I am here for it, because I am ready to see some justice.
How was that accomplished?
Sergeant Good and my Detective Sergeant Lank put out the crime scene tape.
Do you know what, if anything, they were able to use to attach it to in order to set it up around where Mr. O'Keefe had been found?
I believe they used a fire hydrant, a tree, a flagpole, and I'm not sure what else. I don't recall specifically what it was attached to.
And with regard, you mentioned there were photographs that were taken prior to the implementation of a leaf blower, is that correct?
That is correct.
And I could just ask a little bit about that. As far as the leaf blower was concerned, why was that a decision as far as that being an implement to use in this particular scene?
It was a unique scene. There was snow. I had never processed a scene in the snow. I had seen a leaf blower used in the snow, and it's quite effective at being controlled. So that's why it was readily accessible. The scene was debilitating as we were on scene with the weather. Snow was piling up, and I thought that was the best method at that time.
And prior to the arrival of Sergeant Good back to the scene with the leaf blower, what, if anything else, was done to sort of document the scene at that time?
In addition to photographs, what we did was, I wasn't sure how the roadway ended. I wasn't sure if there was a sidewalk, a curb, a berm, or whether it was just grass, excuse me. So Sergeant Lank and I dug out what I believe is called a 6-inch Cape Cod asphalt berm. exposed it so we could get a better perspective of how far Mr. O'Keefe might have been off the roadway.
May I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm going to direct your attention.
Okay, for those that don't know, that is the court reporter, and sometimes you will see them using
Direct your attention what's commonly marked as
a voice,
7,
the
10, 11,
I guess it's a microphone type thing instead of typing,
15,
which I think is great for
17,
carpal tunnel.
19, 21, 22, and 20.
Oh my gosh, she's sitting there shuffling papers.
Review those yourself and look up on your
Okay.
Feel free to have your snacky snacks while we're watching. I know I am.
Your Honor, may we approach this briefly?
Sure.
Sidebar. All right. Since we're behind, I'm going to try to get a little back into it. Oh, still shuffling papers. Oh, was that the end of his testimony? Let's see. Hot mic. Somebody's whispering.
Sorry.
I can't hear anything else. I want to hear some stuff. Oh, and I meant to say for the court reporter, a voice recorder. I don't know why I said microphone. I guess my ADD meds aren't working right today. Okay, shuffling papers. I'm not here for it, so.
Photographs up on the screen.
Okay.
If you could enlarge that just a bit. And Lieutenant, I don't believe that's the first photograph for you, but if you could locate that within
Sure.
file.
I believe that's Exhibit 30.
And if you could just describe to the jury what if anything, we're looking at in this case.
So that is in front of 34 Fairview Road in Canton. It's looking westerly or the direction towards Chapman Street, and it's documenting the conditions at the time.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Lieutenant, at any points, if I ask, or any, this is a rated.
Yes.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next photograph, please.
I was trying to see if I can fix that a little better so you could read it, but they already changed.
That is simply documenting that the number 34 is on the mailbox. That is 34 Fairview Road.
Do you have a number on that in front of you?
Yes, I do. It's Exhibit 22.
Thank you.
There are two of these, I believe, or similar. I just want to make sure I have the correct one. 22. That would be 22, yes.
And what's depicted in that photograph, sir, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of sort of the scene in the roadway when you arrived that morning?
It is. It's the mailbox with the number 34 on it, and it shows two vehicles in the driveway of 34 Fairview Road.
Not 32.
And Ms. Gilman, the next photograph. If you could, Lieutenant, when you locate, just indicate which exhibit we're looking at in this one.
That's Exhibit 28. It's a different angle of the driveway, showing the third car in the driveway. I wanted to document what was in the driveway at that time.
Thank you. Next photograph, Ms. Gilman.
It's Exhibit 29, and basically it documents the same thing. The entirety of the house from I guess it would be a westerly view, and the three cars that were in the driveway at the time I arrived.
And the next photograph, Ms. Gilman.
I believe that's Exhibit 31, and it's a close-up of where Mr. O'Keefe was found, and you can see the very light pink spotting that we thought may be blood, and there was an object in the center as well, which we didn't know what it was at that time.
Subsequent, did you learn what that object was?
Yes,
What did you learn?
it was a broken clear cocktail glass, and the pink spot was frozen or coagulated blood.
And the next photograph, Ms. Gilman.
That's Exhibit 23. And it's basically showing that the scene was trampled by rescue workers, witnesses, et cetera, but you could still see, the pink spotting in the area where Mr. O'Keefe was.
As far as footprints within the snow that you observed, you indicated that the scene was trampled or walked over by first responders, correct?
Correct.
And the footprints that you observed, what footprints have you, so what areas around where Mr. O'Keefe's, where it was indicated to you that Mr. O'Keefe's body was, were those footprints located?
They were located between the street and where Mr. O'Keefe was found.
And as far as between where Mr. O'Keefe was found and the house or the residence at 34 Fairview, what, if any, footprints did you observe in that area of the snow?
I didn't observe any footprints at that time.
Ms. Gilman, if I could ask for the next photograph, please.
That is Exhibit 24, and it's showing a westerly shot of the scene. Still it's found in this area here, and it depicts the wind blowing in that direction at the time.
And probably pretty self-evident, but depicts the wind blowing in that direction based on what?
The flag flying.
The next photograph, Ms. Gilman.
That is Exhibit 20. That is the I believe it's called a 6-inch Cape Cod asphalt berm that separated the roadway from the property of 34 Fairview. And this is the long look to where Mr. O'Keefe was discovered.
The next photograph, Ms. Gilman.
Close-up of one of the exhibits we saw earlier. Again, you can see the spotting and the glass here. This is, I believe this is Exhibit 26.
So, next photograph, Ms. Gilman.
I love how they keep showing the
This is
prosecution's
Exhibit 27.
pictures and
it's,
videos
some-
they're going to show.
what we believed was frozen or coagulated blood spotting.
Next photograph, Ms. Gilman.
And that's a different view, close-up of the scene, and that's Exhibit 32.
And the next photograph, Ms. Gilman.
Those are like the worst photographs. I can't even tell what
That's
that
when we
is.
first uncovered the berm, the 6-inch berm. And it's just a smaller picture, close-up of that berm. It's Exhibit 25.
Reference to the sort of uncovering of the berm as you've described it, what, if anything, did you use to uncover the berm?
I believe we just used our foot to uncover that.
And what I believe is the last photograph, Ms. Gilman.
This is the location from the berm to where Mr. O'Keefe was found. It's just a long view, and it's Exhibit 21.
I think my iPhone takes better
Yes.
pictures.
Tori.
Now, as far as
Let me stop just a minute. Okay, so you just saw like pictures from what they took at the scene. Now, this is a Boston police officer, and I'm not saying anybody should have special treatment, but they're just, I mean, they're not even treating it like, I don't know. It's like little, I don't know, elementary kids went out there with and took pictures. They could probably do better than that. I'm disappointed in the investigation because I truly back the blue, but I don't back shoddy investigations or corrupt cops. So let's see what else he has to say.
the cruisers with the Canton Police Department, what, if any,
They're with dash cameras, watch guard cameras.
and have, or what, if anything, have you done to review some of that dash camera footage from the cruisers, from that level?
I've reviewed all of it.
And specifically, have you reviewed dash camera footage from the 683 cruiser, Officer Sarah's cruiser?
Yes, I did.
And Your Honor, if I may, I would ask that it's already been marked as Exhibit 12. I would ask that a portion of that be played for the jury at this time.
Okay.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could fast forward this to approximately 57 minutes or so into the
Oh, I was like, what is that? That is his. Okay, that's his dash cam video. Let me fix this for you guys.
And what do you recognize?
That's the video I referred of Canton Cruiser 683 on, it's dated January 29th, 2022. at 7, if the time is correct, 7:02:54.
And around this time, within this video from Officer Sarah's cruiser, what, if anything, did you observe occurring within that cruiser camera footage?
I believe it's at approximately 57:17. You'll see Sergeant Good begin to mark out the scene with yellow crime scene tape. You'll
Okay,
see him
that's better.
in front of the cruiser at first.
Just cover that up.
Him, Officer Mullaney, and Sergeant Lank walk off, and then you'll see Sergeant Good stretching out the crime scene tape.
And if you could, sir, as the video is playing, using the laser pointer that you have before you, just draw the jury's attention to who, if anyone, you observe or recognize within that video.
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, if you could.
The yellow tape, it is. There's 2 officers with yellow crime scene tape. I
Oh,
believe
okay.
this is Officer Mullaney, but I'm not sure. I know this is Sergeant Good.
Okay, well, that's good to know because so far we were told there was no crime scene tape.
That's Detective Sergeant Lank in the lighter coat. Sergeant Good and Lank, they walk off camera.
Sorry, I'm trying to adjust this. It's new software, and I want you to be able to see it. Good. I'm telling you, these cruisers have the worst windshield wipers. I mean, I know it's snow, but
You'll see Sergeant Good come into the picture right here. They're stretching out the crime scene tape. You see it flapping in the wind there. See it raise way up because of the wind. This is the crime scene tape here. And I'm not sure what they affixed it to, whether it was the cruiser at that point or not. But you can see the crime scene tape going across the scene that way.
Ms. Gilman, if you could pause it right there for a moment. So, Lieutenant Gallagher, in addition to sort of the crime scene tape that you observed, what, if anything else, did you get from the station to attempt to sort of secure the scene or place at the scene?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Did you get a tent at the station?
Excuse me?
A tent at the station?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
And why not?
I had a tent with me from home. It was a personal 8x8 tent at that time.
My apologies. And so at any point in time on the scene, were you able to set up that tent that you retrieved from your home?
Due to the weather conditions, we did not set it up because it would have required officers holding it down, and we didn't think the top would stay on.
but a scene like that with a body that you're not sure what happened to him, you need to, like Joseph Scott Morgan said, try to keep the scene as pristine as possible. I mean, so what if extra people had to hold the tent down? This is somebody's life. This is, I don't know. I'm disturbed by this comment he's saying. All right, let's get back.
And again, maybe pretty self-evident, but when you say due to the weather conditions, what, if anything, about the weather conditions prevented you from setting that tent up over this?
There was high winds, shifting directions, a large amount of snow falling.
Ms. Gilman, if I could ask if you could just pull forward in that video to about the 1 hour, 7 minute mark. Yeah, if you could hit play from that. Lieutenant, what, if anything, are we looking at in this portion?
If you look closely, it's the crime scene tape that's flowing around.
Where? Oh, he's using
Right now,
the
you
thing.
can't see it.
Yeah, you can't see it for me and the law and crime.
Or I cannot see it from here.
Is this around the point where the decision was made to take that down? Is that correct?
It was later on, I observed the same thing, and I told the officers it wasn't doing any good at that time. And there were nobody to keep out of the scene at that point. It was only police personnel on scene.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gilman, you can stop and take it down. Thank you very much. Now, with reference to the implementation of the leaf blower, was that memorialized in any way as well?
Yes, I had Sergeant Good take a video since we were improvising using something I wasn't familiar with being used before. In case there were any questions on how it was deployed, I had Sergeant Good take a short video.
And there's sort of several different short video clips of that process. Is that fair to say?
There's at least one that I know of.
I need to see these leaf blower videos that they were used at the crime scene and how they were used. They put crime scene tape up and then turned around and took it down. They didn't use a tent to cover where John was laying because they didn't want to use extra people to have to hold the tent. Okay, and that was Judge Bev talking to her court clerk.
I don't recognize it. I haven't seen this disc before.
May we approach?
Okay.
Here we go. Another sidebar. I'm working on my Boston accent. Not really, but I try. All right, let's try to fast forward because, like I said, shortly I'm going to have to leave for an appointment, and then we will. Oh my goodness! I just saw part of it, and I'm sure you did too.
The last exhibit is this.
Okay.
If I could publish that, would you?
Yes.
So there's Karen Reed and her defense attorneys.
Anyway, this is one through. I'm sorry, Ms. Gilman, if you could just pause it right there. And Lieutenant Gallagher, do you recognize what's up on the screen?
I do.
And what do you recognize?
It's me operating the leaf blower and at the scene where John O'Keefe was discovered.
And who is operating the leaf blower in these videos?
I am.
And who, if anyone else from your department, is sort of present while this process is going?
Detective Sergeant Lank is documenting, and Sergeant Good is also assisting.
And Ms. Gilman, thank you very much. If you could just play and run.
See, it removes the snow. I was removing the snow layer by layer. And right here, you can see it exposing the cocktail glass. You're going to see red spots appear as I remove it layer by layer. These pink spots start to turn to be dark red spots. As you see, we can control it. We were concerned with whatever other.
Oh, hold on and wait for a question.
But what he just blew a whole bunch of stuff off there.
As you can see, it just takes it layer by layer.
Hold on for a second. Mr. Lally, Ms. Gilman, can you pause it? So if you have a question for the lieutenant.
This
You're asking him to narrate the whole thing. We're not going to do it that way. And you can.
that is another example of her telling him how to do his job. Oh, wait, stop. You need to ask him a question. Who does that? I don't understand. Just keep spoon feeding them and telling them how to do their jobs. I don't understand. I'm truly shocked at this courtroom behavior.
Pause and then question. It's great you're keeping your voice up over the sound of the leaf blower, but it's a little distracting.
I understand, Your Honor.
So do you have a question, Mr. Lally?
Just briefly at this point, so Lieutenant Gallagher, with respect to as you're conducting this sort of process, what, if anything, are you concerned about as far as throughout this process of trying to locate evidence?
We were concerned with the weather destroying biological evidence at that time.
And so what, if anything, were you doing with regard?
We were trying to take the snow that had fallen over the blood, and we were trying to remove it to expose the blood.
And fair to say, as far as during this sort of removal process, how much of the snow were you able to sort of sift layer by layer with the leaf blower that you had?
We could control how much I wanted to sift. I did it I started out as gently as possible, and if it needed, more snow needed to be removed, I got a little more aggressive.
Thank you. Ms. Gilman, if you could hit play. And the next video, maybe. Ms. Gilman, if you could play the third video, please.
Okay, I think we get the idea.
Ms. Gilman, if you could play the last video, please.
I'm all for problem solving when you have an unusual circumstance. I got mixed feelings about this. I mean, I saw where he said it was melting the snow and you could see that, but what got blown away that might have been important?
And Mr. Officer, you can put the lights on. Thanks. Lieutenant, with reference to that process, how far deep into the snow were you able to go with using that leaf blower in that manner?
We got almost to the ground, bare ground.
As far as sort of a surface area, like how much of that area where Mr. O'Keefe was found were you able to use the leaf blower on?
It was approximately a 6x6, 7x7 type area.
And from that area, what, if anything, in addition to the cocktail glass pieces that you already testified to and the red spots on the ground, what, if anything else did you say?
We didn't observe anything at that point. Anything else, just the blood in the glass.
Now, Lieutenant, during the time that you were on scene, with reference to the neighborhood in general, how many people did you observe sort of come out of their house at any point in time that you were there?
I didn't observe anybody ever come out of their house.
And that includes the residents that you were in front of, as well as any other residences along that street, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, at some point, about how long a period of time, if you know, were you on scene that particular morning?
Approximately 50 minutes, 45 to 50 minutes.
And following that, where did you go?
We brought the exhibits back to Canton Police Headquarters.
And by that, you mean the glass and what you had collected of the blood?
Yep, we took 6 blood samples, yes.
Okay, and how were you able to sort of collect the blood samples on scene?
Well, the blood samples, because they were frozen, we debated on how to collect it. We didn't think swabbing was going to be easy to do if it was frozen. So we decided on finding some type of temporary plastic evidence container. We were able to find large cups, and we took 6 samples. We bagged the 6 samples, and Sergeant Lang transported them back to Canton Police Headquarters.
And with respect to those samples and the glass that you located, eventually, what, if anything, was done with those? Well, first and foremost, when you came back to Canton Police Station, what, if anything, did you do with them?
Chief Berkowitz was at headquarters, and we had a meeting in the detective sergeant's office.
What I'm asking, sir, is with reference to those items that you took back from Fairview, when you got back to the station, what, if anything, did you do?
Sergeant Lang placed them into evidence.
And then subsequent to Sergeant Lang placing them into evidence at some point, where did they go?
They were turned over on February 1st to the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab.
And was that something where they were driven to the crime lab, or did the crime lab come to the station?
The crime lab was already at the station.
Now, you go back to the police station and have some conversation with your chief, is that correct?
That is correct.
And what was your chief's name?
Chief Berkowitz, Kenneth Berkowitz.
And following that conversation, at some point, did you return to Fairview Road that morning?
I did.
And who, if anyone, did you go there with?
I accompanied Detective Sergeant Lang.
And when you arrived, where did you go with reference to residents?
We went into a side door, and there were people in the kitchen at that time. I believe it was the kitchen area.
And did you know any of the people that were in the kitchen?
I did.
Who, if anyone, did you know?
Who I remember specifically was Jen McCabe, who I don't know personally, but I know because that's who Sergeant Lang arrived to talk to, and I knew Brian Albert in a professional sense.
And so Brian Albert is also a police officer, is that correct?
He was Boston police officer, yes.
Now, as far as any other people, who, if anyone else, were you introduced to when you came into the kitchen area?
I wasn't introduced to anybody. All I know is there were 5 or 6 people there.
And are you familiar with a gentleman by the name of Brian Higgins?
I am.
How are you familiar with him?
He is an ATF agent who I've worked with when I was assigned to DEA, and he later had a satellite office at our PD.
And he also has a proffer with the feds about the investigation.
Since come to know him personally.
And in reference to your work with the DEA, how long did you work with the DEA?
13 years.
And so, Mr. Higgins, was he present in the home on Fairview when you arrived there that morning?
I don't recall him. When I arrived originally, definitely not. I don't recall if he was there when we arrived about 9 a.m.
So you don't recall him being there at all?
I don't recall specifically. I never had any conversation with him.
Now, you had made some mention of February 1st, a few days later, at your department, there were members from the crime lab that came, correct?
That is correct.
And what, if anything, did they come there to do?
They were assisting the state police in executing a search warrant on a motor vehicle.
And where was that motor vehicle in relation to your department?
It was in our Sally Port.
If you could just describe to the jury sort of what is it, Sally Port, specifically the Canton Police, like where is it located, what does it look like?
Sure, it's on the rear portion of our police department. They are large overhead doors that are numbered, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We only have 2 bays. So the Sally Port that the vehicle was in, typically we enter through door 4 and you would exit through door 3. Those doors, overhead doors, can only be controlled by a computer in the dispatch center. And it's where we bring in our prisoners. Once the Sally Port goes up, you enter, close the door, the area is secure. The rest of the PD is only accessible by access card, key access card.
As you mentioned, sort of the overhead garage doors are accessible only by the dispatch area, is that correct?
That is correct, a computer in the dispatch area.
And then as far as entrance from the department, how if at all is that controlled?
There is a, to the right of Sally Port 4, there is a key card access door.
Now, with reference to that Sally Port area, what if any cameras are located in that area?
I know there's cameras in the area. I don't specifically know where they are. I typically don't look for them. I know it is under surveillance, as most of our department is.
And have you reviewed at least portion or the entirety of the Sally Port video from that particular day, February 1st?
I've seen a small portion, yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Do you recognize what's depicted on that particular flash drive?
Yes.
Okay, what is depicted on that, sir?
CPD Sally Port videos.
You know, Commonwealth will seek to introduce and admit as the next exhibit.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor. Your Honor, if I may, at this time, I seek to publish a portion of Exhibit 34 for the jury.
Okay.
34, not 32. I can't help it. I'll say that the entire time through this
one
trial.
moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
We got whispering on the mics. I want to hear what they're saying.
So, Ms. Gilman, if I could have the portion that's February 1st, that covers 12 a.m. to 12 noon.
Well, I think Alan Jackson, of course, will be the one to cross-examine this witness if they do, because of the pictures and the videos, and he's the tech guy and he knows his stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh my goodness. Let's put on some, I don't know, music. Like elevator music, something, while we're having to wait. Judge Bev's always in a hurry, but it's okay that they can't get their crap together.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. I don't have that many sound effects. And I don't want to blast your ears. There was one. Again, I appreciate everyone watching. This is my first live trial coverage. So please give me a like, share. We want to make sure and get this trial out there so that everybody knows what's going on. It's super important. And I want to know, do you think Karen Reed is innocent or guilty based on what we've seen on the trial so far? Put it in the comments and let me know. I'm curious.
Ms. Gilman, if I could ask you to just fast forward that to approximately 9:11 a.m.
10 years later, we're still waiting and waiting. I think it's in this movie, The Way Back, if you haven't seen it.
If you could just pause 1 second.
They're at a water park and they're standing there letting people go down the slides. And there's this hot chick. And the guys are going, waiting. Because they don't want her to go down yet. They keep looking at her. Waiting. I know, random, right?
Why don't we take our morning recess?
Let's do that.
Why don't we take a 10, 15-minute recess?
Thank goodness. Okay. I think this is going to be a good place for me to stop because, like I said, I have got an appointment and this is a crazy week for me. So, I am going to come back later on and I'm going to finish. No, I'm not going to be exactly real time, but we're going to go over this trial and talk about it. And thank you so much. Yes, it has been crazy. Publicly Buzzed. Also, shout out to my friends at Publicly Buzzed, Steve. Give them a follow. They are covering this trial. They're also covering Phil Spector trial that Alan Jackson actually prosecuted him, and they did that on Murder Church on Sunday. So please check them out. Great folks and fun entertainment with them. So, all right. I guess I will see you later this afternoon.